Oh, so if I'm correct, I should be live. We'll see if anyone turns up and see if microphone's working or not. Hopefully it is. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you will all be able to hear me. Like I say, this is a bit of a test, so we'll have to see how this goes. But yeah, wow. Welcome to the wonderful world of live streaming, as they say. So, like I said, this is also my test of using StreamYard as well. So, see, so much I need to try and test out with this. Oh, Crowban's here. Hi, Crowban. Am I coming in live, loud and clear? Is that all well? Nope. Angelo, good morning. Well, hello, afternoon, should the case be, as it is now. Good afternoon to you. Like I say, welcome to my little test of a live stream. As you know, I've been building up a little bit of a live stream studio. Don't worry, I do have a camera. It's not turned on yet because I need to sort out my background and my green screen behind me. So I'm not going to turn on my camera until at least my background's ready. Yes, we are practicing for Jeff, and don't worry, you will be able to see my my wonderful face when we do go live with Jeff, because how could I deprive David here of seeing the anguish and woe on my face when we are responding live and in real time to Jeff. But like I say, turn the camera on. Not yet. Not yet. Next time. Definitely next time. Like I say, this is just a bit of a test for me, but it is working. I'm really happy that it is working. Like I say, thank you to everyone who supported me over the past couple of months to support me in the channel. We've got a new camera at last, so I'm now constantly in sync. For those of you who may remember the foreign film days of the Ball Hat Man channel. So yeah, we've got a new camera. We've got a new mic for live streaming and doing interviews. I've got part of the live streaming studio set up. Part of it, that's why I say that's where the camera's not on today, because quite frankly, it's a mess. So none of you are going to see that yet. But I thought, why not? Let's treat you today, and it also gets me used to using StreamYard as well. So let's see if I do this. So you should now be seeing this. Ta-da! It's the Byline Times. It is. Well, it's not really a surprise video. It's more a test. We're testing out the live stream. But as you all know, this week has been unbelievable in terms of the stuff from Boris. It is really, honestly been. Hang on, if it's a bit small, let's try that. Is that better? There we go. That's a bit better for you. So this week has really, really been absolutely insane. It's been absolutely crazy. And who could have believed on Sunday that we had revelations from Dominic Cummings all about the ingoings and outgoings, shall we say, of Downing Street. And we've known about this for quite a long time. I mean, some of the corruption allegations have been going on for years. I mean, if you remember, only just, what was it? How many months ago now was the Robert Jerrick scandal? Ago now, that must have been at least a couple of months. It was last year at some point, but it really wasn't that long ago when you think about it. And yet again, nothing was done about him. There was no investigations into it. There was nothing, absolutely nothing. Radio silence, 12 months. Thank you, FSM. So to see essentially nothing happen, and now go to where we are today in less than a week, is unbelievable. Unbelievable on so many fronts. But this doesn't just start with the current Tory party and the current crop of Boris Johnson's, what can only be described as his children of the corn. I don't know if that works. Don't know if that works as a substitute for his guys in cabinet. But this, as you can see here, goes back decades, well over a decade. And we have here the Byline Times, and as you can see, the title of the story, a decade on, nothing has changed. And this is one of the journalists who back in the day uncovered so much more of the corruption scandals that we are now seeing almost continued today. So it's been unbelievable to actually see that there is action taking place. And from the start of this, it doesn't appear to be going away, which normally it does. So the question, I think, has been asked before about lots of Tory MPs that they're very, very quick to dismiss all this stuff that's been going on. But so far, it keeps on being brought up. We've had Tory ministers trotted out to say Boris did nothing wrong. Boris is a good guy. You can trust him. But is it cutting through to the public? And I think for the fact that not only has this been headline news in the Daily Mail, so you can tell this is having some sort of impact if it's headline news in the Daily Mail. And we also have to ask the question, who's now going to turn against Boris Johnson next? Because the Tories are very, very, very cannibalistic creatures. Very cannibalistic creatures. If they sense blood in the water, they will go for it. And then the question is, and I think we've talked about this before at length on our Good Morning Walks, who replaces Boris? Like, who replaces Boris? If he goes, who replaces him? I think the only two candidates that you could reasonably put forward and would be probably worth putting money on are, I'd say, definitely the forerunner would be Michael Gove, and then second for me would be Rishi Sunak. I think those are the only two Conservatives that could actually stand a tiny bit of chance of actually winning the PMship. Now, at the moment, Sunak got loads of good praise heaped on him by obviously his help out scheme and some of his his quote unquote recovery schemes. But like I say, some of this money is very, very short term. So, and then Sunak is sooner or later, he's going to have to turn around and say, here's how we're going to have to pay for it all. And then all that popularity he's gained, gone. So if Boris goes quickly, then I think it'll be a 2-horse race. It depends, obviously, again, when Boris goes and how much fame does Sunak still have in the Tory party to be able to break through over Gove. So we're going to have to, again, wait and see on that front, because that is going to be very, very interesting. Very interesting to see, because I'll tell you now, a fight between Gove and Sunak is going to be an absolute knife fight. They are going to have, there will be no bridges left, essentially, I think, after that. I think it's going to be very, very brutal. I think it's going to be very, very brutal. But anyway, on to today's article that we want to talk about. So, Ian Overton, an absolute stellar journalist who over a decade ago uncovered huge lobbying scandals in the government, and he coined the original term, the revolving door. And I think it's worth going over what this article is and what it said, because I think this is an absolutely fantastic article by him. Now, is that better? So, as a journalist, perhaps the first rule of going undercover is to remember your fake name. Mr. Johnson, Mr. Johnson. The receptionist was speaking, but I sat there unmoving, gazing into the middle distance. She repeated it louder until, with a jolt, I remembered who I was meant to be, and I turned with a smile. Mr. Johnson, they're ready to see you now. My thumb clicked the secret camera to start recording. Charles Johnson, failed in London, tried in Hong Kong, Asian base, ex-public schoolboy go-between. In this incarnation, I was asking Bell Pottinger, the PR company that some referred to as the devil's advocate, to produce a campaign for Uzbekistan's cotton industry. Mine was a sting designed to show off how far this media company would go over to gloss over the inconvenient truth that Uzbek cotton industry was built on unpaid child labor. Looking back, I probably should have called myself Dave. So it's very, very, very interesting. Just how all this, again, this, if you remember that far back about all this initial scandal, it was incredibly, incredibly messy. So after all of my underfilming cover for the Bureau of Investigative Journalism was entirely inspired by David Cameron. During a Conservative Party conference speech in 2010, the future Prime Minister had predicted that corporate lobbying would be the next big scandal, possibly to create a diversion of sorts from all the MP's expenses route. And wouldn't you know it, Wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? It was David Cameron, of all things. David Cameron, of all things, who was the guy completely embroiled in this scandal. I mean, this is almost a comedy of errors. This is the type of thing you would normally see on The Thick of It. And I can imagine Malcolm Tucker. I can imagine Malcolm Tucker being in place, trying to think of a way out of how to get the Prime Minister out of this out of this situation that he's created. And I think in a time of political upheaval, I think when in more need of a program like The Thick of It or Yes Minister, now more than ever. I think we're missing that from television. I think we need it back. I think it is definitely something we need to bring back. So, but with that, he set the hairs running. Bill Pottinger was certainly scandalous. When it existed, the PR firm had worked for directors such as Charlie Augustino Pinochet and the Belarus Alexander Lushenko, and had undertaken work for repressive regimes like Bahrain, Egypt, and Sri Lanka, and even produced propaganda for the Pentagon. It was all part of a toxic culture of lobbying in London that had evolved over the years, one of which a clutch of PR firms was willing to do the bidding of whoever sought representation. It was the global capital of reputation laundering, as the Evening Standard put it. And Bell Pottinger was the queen bee of this hive of disrepute. Morality is the job for priests. Bell Pottinger's conservative founder, Lord Tim Bell, had once told the New York Times, not a PR man. Certainly, there appeared to be very little morality in Bell Pottinger's offices. There was just one managing director, oblivious to the recording, and he fell over himself to win the promised contract. He promised that we could get to the point where even if they type in Uzbekistan child labor or Uzbekistan human rights violation, some of the first results that would come up on the sites that we are talking about of what you guys are doing to address and all improve that, not just the critical voices saying how terrible it all is. In a later meeting conducted in 2011, they boasted of their ability to get Cameron to speak to the Chinese premier on behalf of one of their business clients. They admitted to running a team which sorted negative Wikipedia coverage of clients. This is absolutely, insane. Insane. It really, really is insane. And this was only, you've got to remember, this was only a decade ago that this happened. And look where we are now. And look who's at the center of it. As he said there back at the beginning, David Cameron said in 2010 that the next big scandal would be about corporate lobbying. This is one of those things of sometimes, especially in politics, you never know what the next day could bring. You never know what could happen within the next hour. And it brings to mind the famous saying, of a week is a long time in politics. And I guarantee you, this week will be the longest week of politics that Boris Johnson has ever known in his entire life. So they said it was possible to use MPs known to be critical of investigative programs to attack reporters for minor errors, and they boasted about using dark arts in their media manipulation. It was not an undercover sting taken lightly. The Bureau had gathered information about different PR companies and the many regimes they represented. We'd interviewed senior PR executives off the record about methods used to clean reputations. And we had met campaigners concerned about the lack of transparency in the PR world. But we knew that unless we caught these PR men on camera, they would just deny it all and attack the journalists, not address the journalism. When we ran the story, it dominated the Independent's front page for days and sparked fresh debates in politics. The following year, in 2012, the issue of lobbying once again spiked in Parliament. A parliamentary consultation paper entitled The Introducing of Statutory Register of Lobbyists was launched. The aim was to increase information available about lobbyists without unduly restricting lobbyist freedom. And we all know how that turned out in the end. We all know how that turned out in the end. But this is where we've got to in all this. I mean, I keep on saying it's shocking that this was 10 years ago. And, the guy's right. Nothing's changed. Oh, wow. Primal, thank you very much for the €5. Invest in a politician, bitch. I mean, you're set for life. Probably. I mean, we'll have to get like a pro streaming candidate. But yeah, I think it's very obvious the rules around lobbying that we are seeing that are currently in place are just not good enough. And it is very, very obvious, very, very obvious that the rules David Cameron put in place, and I'm sure the article will go into that in a moment, that the rules David Cameron put in place were the loopholes that he used to gain access. And this is one of the big things that is being talked about at the moment. Access, that VIP lane. And I think that's the phrase we've all got to watch out for. Because especially when we get the investigation into COVID and we have the big COVID inquiry, which, by the way, again, we've got to push for because the Tories are currently going, oh, we can't have it yet. There will be a time where we can't have it yet, or, oh, it's too late to have it. And that's what we've got to remember. We've got to keep pushing, your MP for a COVID inquiry. That is why I consistently say, please, please do remember, email your MP, write to them. Trust me, it does work. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that inquiry plays out. Because I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff coming out recently, but we've seen that from civil servants, they essentially were almost at the ready to get ventilators, protective equipment, and then at the last moment, they were stopped by other senior civil servants with orders from on high not to take that order. And we have seen that this VIP lobbying potentially cost lives and did who knows how much damage. Who knows how much damage to this country. And yet all this happened, let's not forget, on the Tory watch. I've said it before, the Tories should never, ever, ever be allowed anywhere near the seat of government ever again. The disaster alone over COVID justifies that. You know, just these new revelations about Boris, the whole corruptions, you know, the whole VIP lanes that they have set up, that's just the cherry on the cake to all this. And if Labour are smart about this, they should be producing or creating, you know, laws and bills that they can put into Parliament to crack down on this lobbying and corruption. It would be an absolute vote winner. Absolute vote winner. And like I say, they don't even have to wait until the next election until they actually get in. They can just do member day motions about it. And then anyone who votes against it on the Tory side, well, after what you do is you get on TV or you get on YouTube, get on Facebook, and you go, hey, in this constituency, your MP, your Conservative MP, voted against this anti-corruption bill that we wanted to introduce, a bill that would stop all this nonsense from going on. Why has your Member of Parliament done that? If you think that they should vote for it, or you want to know why they didn't do that, perhaps you should write to them or contact them in some way. Start lighting fires under these Conservative MPs. So anyway, we continue. So perhaps unsurprisingly, the end result became a register of lobbyists launched in 2015, which now boasts 178 members who were immediately described, and what was immediately described as a feeble. And a decade on, things have just not improved, but they've taken a turn for the worst. The man who inspired the undercover operation, David Cameron, is now having to answer questions about his own conduct while lobbying ministers for the scandal-hit private firm Greensill Capital. It has since emerged at the least 2 other cabinet office advisors were hired by Greensill while they were working for the civil service, raising further questions over the revolving door between politics and PR firms. In addition, research by the Byline Times and the Citizens has shown that since the lobbying register was launched, 11 companies have donated some £830,000 to political parties. Of this, half, 49%, has gone to the Conservative Party. In the years before the lobbying register was created, just 34% of those were on the list of the Conservatives. So, did my undercover sting do any good? Certainly it did. It hit Bell Pottinger where it hurt, its bottom line, and contributed to the reduced revenue forecast of about 400 million. And now the deceased Lord Bell admitted that it had a deleterious effect on relationship with clients. It went to weaken a company when it was discovered in 2017 that it had run a racially charged PR campaign in South Africa and was closed in complete disgrace. This was after true to spirit, the firm had been kicked out of the UK's industry body for running a campaign that had presented opponents of presidential Jacob Zuma and the Gestaps as an agency of, quote, white monopoly capital. But the Bureau did expose and did not lead to any did not lead to any systemic reform. Hang on, I need a drink. This is another reason why we need Jeff Taylor. When we do Jeff Taylor, we will be I will be drinking. I've got a nice bottle of rum lined up. It's going to be nice. Oh, wow. Thank you very much, Minnie. More coffee and keep it up, BHM. Yes, your live streaming kit is working. Excellent. Like I say, we're just going to go through this article. We're going to wrap it up after that. But yeah, like I say, this is the quick test. I think the test has gone quite well. But don't worry, when we do the Jeff Taylor, you will be able to see my beautiful face, and I will have a green screen in the background as well. Like I say, I think I'm going to have to get rid of get the pro version of StreamYard as well. Then I can get rid of this powered by StreamYard up in the corner. So anyway, where are we? Yes, the fact was that while Register of Lobbyists does exist, it does not demand the declaration of conflicts of interest of political donations and is symptomatic of structural failings in the British political system. This failing has meant that £3 billion of COVID-19 contracts have gone to companies linked to Conservative donors or those with close ties to the party. This failing has led to a government governed by WhatsApp, conducted beyond and have been conducted beyond scrutiny, with private messages and private meetings now as standard. And that should be completely wiped out. In fact, I've said it before, one of the big reforms they could have is that you need junior ministers to be recording any meeting a minister goes to. And these meeting minutes should be available to anyone. I think that's a standard, and I think private meetings, private messaging, I think that if you are a public servant, obviously there is a certain degree of privacy you are allowed to have, but if you are a public servant and you, let's say you message one of these PR firms or message one of these lobbyists, immediately what should happen is you have to go to a junior MP and say, not an MP, a junior minister or civil servant. Like I say, I think this is where it needs an entire organization to watch MPs and go, look, so and so has contacted me about I want to have this conversation. Here's the minutes, so you know what's going on. I think that would be entirely fair. And I think that if they didn't, I think you should be seeing consequences for that. And I think consequences should basically be you are suspended from being an MP, meaning that you can't participate in voting. And I think that would be quite a serious punishment. And then I think obviously the ultimate one is, you get kicked from your post. You're no longer an MP. And more importantly, you're no longer allowed to run for an MP. I think there should be a certain level of seriousness where you just go, you're no longer allowed to run for being an MP completely. So here we are. So, and this has meant, and this failing means that MPs from all political hues see their post-political careers as a lucrative foray into the world of lobbying, a world in which old connections are now milked and conflicts of interest are dismissed by some in the press. The truth is that much of the mainstream media is complicit in all of this. It relies on the well-oiled machinery of PR, lobbying, political contracts to get scoops, and to sell papers. For those reporters to go out and film ex-politicians undercover doing their sordid backroom deals and businesses would be a betrayal of the very members club that some of those journalists seek to be a part of, or at least aligned to. To address the true text of the political lobbying today, it will take far more than another Charles Johnson blustering his way into the offices of a PR firm. It requires a revolution at the heart of government. And And I completely agree with that. There needs to be a massive revolution. And I think that what's going on today, this week, and what ultimately will continue this week, I think we could potentially see that start of the revolution. And I think it starts with pushing hard and not letting this drop. And I think that's the key issue there. So Son of Viking, suspended from voting theoretically hurts the constituents more than the MP. True, but the fact that the MP is a representative of the constituents and has gone out of his way to not report that he is being contacted by a lobbyist, or has, again, let's say he has received money in donation to the Conservative Party through doing something, or like Boris Johnson, he got to do up his flat, or he got a new car or something like that. I do think there needs to be some form of punishment. Now, you are right. I don't think that necessarily suspending an MP for voting would do that, but what else have we got? I mean, obviously, I think there should be prison sentences for the more serious ones. I completely agree with that, but I think there should also be lesser punishments for like lesser serious ones, or something like that. Yeah, that's a good idea, like there. Yeah, so lobbying MPs only completely illegal, and only parties can be lobbied. I think that makes perfect sense. And then again, proper channels. And I think it does come into having watchdogs on this. And there is a watchdog, but unfortunately it's completely toothless. The other thing would be is, as you all know and may remember, the Priti Patel bullying scandal. The guy who resigned was in charge of ethics for MPs. And the thing is, he gets appointed by the Prime Minister. And since he's resigned, that position has been vacant. That is still not filled today. So I think that position should not be one that is just appointed by the PM, but is a permanent filled position. And I think needs to be given more powers to do stuff. And like I say, I don't have all the answers. I'm very clear. I never have all the answers. But like I say, today we've just gone over some of the stuff that we could do for this, and I think the whole thing I've talked about before about Labour can really use this as a really good potential vote winner would be fantastic for them. But like I say, we'll have to see where it goes, how long this goes for, and we have to try and keep on pushing that this just does not go away, because that's what the Tories are hoping for. Because if this goes away, then old Teflon Boris, the man who just is the unsinkable ship, is the HMS Titanic, is this finally Boris's iceberg? Is this what sinks him? And I think, it could very well be. It could very well be. But as someone's just said there, we have to start with getting the Tories out. Like I say, I think what Boris has done this week will go on to haunt not only Boris, but the rest of this Conservative government and whoever is standing for the Conservatives at the next general election. So, I think you'll all agree this has been quite a quite a nice success, as someone just said. No tech problems, I did say at the start, David, do you all remember the nostalgic days of when my videos weren't in sync and it was like watching a foreign film? So thank you, everyone, for watching this. Like I said, I think it's been quite a successful test run. Like I say, I do have a camera and I need to set up my green screen to get that going. So when we get that going, we will be able to have the full experience, because like I say, you probably want to see my face when we are reacting to old JT or Jeff Taylor. So yeah, that'll be absolutely fantastic. But as always, thank you everyone for watching this. It's been absolutely fantastic for this. Just a quick test run. But yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Please do remember to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page and the Buy Me Coffee link as well, where you can buy me coffee. And thank you to everyone who does support my channel, whether you use those links before or you just press the like and share button. Like I say, every little helps. And don't worry, the next time we do one of these live streams, I can promise you, on my little site, I'm already doing it. I'm gesturing like you can see me on camera. You will be able to see on the side of me in this wonderful screen here that I'm going to have. It will be old say old Jeffy T or old JT. I'm still trying to decide what to call the stream, but you have to see. So thank you all for watching. I think you'll agree it's been an absolutely fantastic test run. I don't know if you can hear the rain that's pouring down outside, but it's absolutely tipping it down. And thanks for watching. Please do watch out for more videos from me coming up this week. And of course, there will be the usual Good Morning Walk on Saturday. And of course, keep on watching, because you never know. I will tell you. I won't just do it like this. I will tell you when the the Jeff Stranzer, the Taylor experience, the Jeff experience, the Taylor marathon, the Jeff marathon, the Jeffathon. Who knows what we'll call it? If you've got a name, put it in the comments. But anyway, thank you all as always, because I'm always terrible at ending these. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.